Carrrnversations.
You guys, welcome to today's conversation. Been a long time, I know. But today I've got Ushaga with me. Mhlambe Shaka, quickly introduce yourself.
Ushaga.
Let's finish it. I am Ushaga.
You guys, last time we had this. Go watch the other episode. Then
there you go. Then you know who I am.
Let's go.
So I wanted to talk today. I wanted to go hot work, right? So my intention, let me just tell you where my heart is and where my head is. I want people to watch Conversations now, not just as I feel we've always done thought-provoking and we've done funny. We've done funny and thought-provoking, But I want it now to be like hot session. Like a hot session. And we had an interesting conversation. The other day we were talking about failure. And I want to ask you, when was the last time you experienced failure, or seen yourself as a failure?
So we just dive deeper. We're not gonna warm up.
We're gonna go just deep.
I see failure differently.
Okay.
There is prolonged failure in the sense that you feel it in a very long period, and there's failure that that I failed there. Let's move on. Let's try the next one. So when was the last time I felt a long-term failure? This year.
Okay.
This year I felt, and I had to had a hard conversation with myself and be like, is this where we thought we were gonna be at age 23? And it was like, definitely not. But here we are.
Okay.
So when was the last time? This year. Now the other failure where I failed in something, and then just move on with it. But it's the fact that I need to have something in my hands to play with. I don't know. I can't think of something immediately.
You know, I was thinking about it because you asked me the other day, and I came to a realization, Uguti, there is a difference between failing at something and being a failure. Right? When I fail at something, like I said to you, it means Uguti, I had anticipated a certain outcome, result, and then it didn't happen the way that I anticipated. And I'm able to remove myself from the situation and see it as that thing didn't work out.
It's that thing that didn't work out.
But if I view myself as a failure, that's a completely different story, because then that will mean how I choose to attempt the next thing, and how I choose to move on. I'm moving from the lens and the perspective that I am a failure. And also the dangerous thing of saying, I thought I would have been here by now, by this age, and now I'm not. It messes up with how you move on and what you receive as a blessing, or what comes. I almost want to say what God can bless you with moving on. At this point, if I look at 2022 and I say, I failed this year, just make an example, and you look at it, this year didn't happen the way that I wanted it to go, and you look at it like that, manje, in this moment, what you then do is, it almost feels like the year can't surprise you anymore, because you've already decided,
I'm done. This is done. Let's move on.
I've failed already.
But with that now, that's very good. But now I think I want to add on Uguti and Mhlambe, because as I said, I had to sit down. Uguti, the moving on is tricky, because do I move on from a point, Uguti, I'm trying to fix what already is messed up or where I failed? Or do I move on with carrying on dreaming big and carrying on thinking for the bigger next thing? So it's one or two things. It's either I think let me fix this because I miss already. We are at a place where we have failed and we're now trying to prove ourselves. We're trying to fix what we failed. Right. Or we move on a thing of that's done. Do we start on a new page? We carry that on the
Right.
next chapter. I'm at a place where I'm relaxed. I'm not taking anything to the next season. This season has happened. Let's move on. Let's see we learn from what had happened. We learn from what we fail, but expectation, because expectations is what brings failure in a sense.
And you know what? I have a friend of mine, to answer your question on how do we then move on. A friend of mine says, but what are the facts? What are the facts? And he'll say, we have to look at the facts. And so even with the moving on, we have to look at the facts. Can I still fix something? From what happened
previous season?
So I didn't get my expected outcome, right? Is the outcome that I got, do I feel like it's it's a denial or a redirection, or it really is because I didn't do my part, right? Because now, Koloko, let's not say, don't not do your part and not show up, and then when you don't get the expected outcome, you go, I'm a failure. And it's like, no, it's not. You just didn't put in the effort. The opportunity was there. You didn't rise to the occasion when the occasion came, right? And I want to say this. We say to people, what's meant for you,
you always find
will always find you. What's meant for you, you're not going to miss it.
As if we don't play a role.
In when it does find you.
Yes. It find
because you might fumble the very thing that God has meant for you. Because you're not ready to show up. You're not ready to pull up. And so I feel to answer that, we have to look at the facts in moving on with failure. And maybe I think I haven't felt like a failure in a very long time.
Let's go.
I haven't felt like a failure in a very, very long time. And how I got to that place is because I started failing at a lot of things. I failed at a lot of things so much. And there are things that I can't get back. Like money. I failed at a lot of things that costed me
a lot of
money. The good sister would be in a murk, you shouldn't have these big dreams. And so the continuous failure somehow I realized was making me better.
I think so.
The continuous failure, I'm falling and it feels horrible, it feels bad, but then I go, okay, let's try. My character, my personality is okay, let's try, let's get up and let's do the next thing.
It's what I wanted to ask. Maybe it's relative.
But this is what I wanted to say though, is as I'm failing and I was going, okay, let's try, let's get up. There would be a moment of silence and a moment of reflection where when I do something else, something I almost want to say unrelated to what I had failed at, I'd have but I know now. As I was allowing my perspective to shift and to open to, how did I learn this? Then I go, I learned this because I failed at that.
Sure.
And so I really, really started realizing that I could look at myself as a failure and therefore miss my blessings, because then I'm walking in every room and I'm already counting myself out. Or I look at myself as I'm failing so much because I'm trying so hard. I'm failing so much because I'm trying so hard.
Perspective.
But still, that means I'm not getting the outcome I want. But man, Dr. Sean says, wisdom is what you get when you don't get what you want. That, my life is built on that. My life is built on. And so when people say to me, you're so wise, and I go, I failed. And it's true. It's true. My wisdom is a reflection of, I've done a lot of things and I've failed at a lot of things. And I fail as beautifully. And like I said to you the other day, my success is a drop in the ocean to the amount of the things I failed and the things that I've failed at.
But now, do you think it takes a certain type of breed, a person, character-wise, to see it that way? that constant failure.
It doesn't take not so much a certain type of person, but a certain type of circle.
Okay.
It is. Remember, it's. You will get to a place sometimes where you don't see you. You will get to a place where sometimes you want to give up.
You need the right people.
You will get to, but if your circle doesn't allow you to, it's not. Dr. Jerry Daniel says, you don't go as far as your dream goal, you go as far as your team, right? And it's a thing of if your circle, and your circle has a way of saying, okay. And I've had my down and out moments. I've had my I'm done. Like this was, by the way, this was my I'm done year. I came into this year going, it's the fact that I registered to study just to feel like I win, to feel in control of something. I felt like I could control this outcome. This outcome didn't need, and it's funny, I even said it didn't need prayer. It just needed head in the game.
Let's go.
It just needed my focus and my discipline. And and then this year becomes the greatest year of my life, basically. And it really is a thing of my circle. My circle was there saying, I remember I even wrote, this is wild, beginning of the year, I wrote an Instagram post where I said, I'm going for option B. I had option A for my life, and the past 7-8 years I've been trying to work on option B. I'm going with option B. And I remember one friend said, don't park it too far. Said, don't park it too far. Don't park it too far. You don't know. And it really has been a option A and option B blending with each other. So I'm saying failure is so necessary. I'm saying failure is such a blessing. I'm saying you don't get to sit at the table unless you failed. Because what exactly are you bringing to the table?
What are you going to tell the people?
What do you tell the people?
What do you bring?
How do you say to somebody, don't give up?
That's so profound, because it reminds me of something. The person who has the most interesting story to tell is the one who's been through it. It's the warrior that has fought so many battles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you want to talk about losing money?
You want to talk? Yeah.
So what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say about getting a door that you thought this was gonna change my life shut in your face, and then not dying? That's the thing. So how you still got a real shot is the fact that you didn't die after you failed.
Yeah. So maybe also perspective is very important.
Perspective is very important,
because how you see your failure determines how you move on. But it's very important how you see failure. It's like we can fail at the same thing, but you see it differently, and I see it differently, and how we move on is how we see that failure.
1,000%, 1,000%, and it's a thing of perspective. And again, it's the thing of you're not a failure. It's you failed at a thing, and so how we define it really, and the language and our perspective will also determine how we define it, right? And the language that we use. And so language will come from the people around us. Because I had a friend continuously feeling like a failure would say to me, I don't understand.
I
don't understand. And he'd say to me, do you know how many people are not where you're at? And you're feeling like, and say, let me give you perspective. And it'll give me statistics saying the average 22-year-old, the average 25-year-old is, and I'd go like, but they're not me though. They don't have. This is my story. This is my canvas. But then also sometimes how we experience failure is a lack of gratitude.
I was about to ask about humility and failure, the connection. Do you think the expectation kind of like
pride?
I'm afraid of using that word.
Okay.
Let's rather use the positive, because people don't like negative things. Pride, definitely, but it teaches us something about being humble. Because if you're moving too fast and everything is going well, you kind of get prideful and you kind of stop learning. But as soon as bang.
Yeah, and the expectation that you will succeed in all things. And so when how you take a hit when you don't succeed is a reflection of entitlement. Who owes you? Who owes you? Aksikho kimi la. Like, you know, and you're down and out, you're giving up just because you failed. It's a reflection of entitlement. Because it's like there's a lesson in your failure. Oh my goodness, how can you not appreciate the fact that you were even able to stand in that room? So the door closed and you want to go cry about it because you know, like, what an honor it is that you were even there, that
given
you get
the opportunity to be in front of that door, it being shut.
The fact that you can even think, let me go for that door.
Humility,
really.
You said what?
Gratitude. I think we there's this beautiful concept Iana says, and I'm gonna mess it up now. She says it's the okay, what if I get to the top of the mountain and I die? Or something like, what if I get to the top of a mountain and I fall? And she says, maybe, but I'm grateful that on my way there, maybe I could stop for a drink of water. And she says, but maybe if I do end up falling, maybe I land on piece of grass rather, then my landing is soft. And if it's not a piece of grass, then I hope that it's something like it's not glass. At least it wasn't glass. And if maybe it is glass, maybe it's glass that doesn't get to cut my legs. And it's like the whole thing of, doesn't matter how bad it is, there is a thank you even in the midst of falling. Sure. Doesn't matter how ugly the thing is, there is a thank you in it. There is it takes me to the Job story.
That's what I'm thinking also. That's exactly what's going on in my mind. It's like they took everything, but they didn't touch your soul.
They didn't touch your soul.
But that's insane, though.
That's insane. You've got nothing, but you're alive, though.
And that already is a privilege. That's what God was trying to say then. Because that's exactly what he asked for. You can do anything to him, so long as
his soul. And it's like, you're missing the miracle.
Missing the miracle.
Not just Uti, you're alive though, but the fact that you are carrying so much, but you're still here. My life is horrible, I'm going through so much. You're still alive though. That's the miracle. And what is capacity then? And failure stretches our capacity. Because you don't fail at this and still dream at the level that which you failed at.
After that, your capacity stretches. You're being stretched.
So failure says, okay, I failed at this. And I don't know why, but you don't just go back for the same thing. You go back for a bigger kill.
Why are you saying on that? I don't know why. Do you think it's important to know why you failed?
Yes.
Always.
Yes. But sometimes I said yes too quickly.
You said that's what I was thinking. Give it
I said yes too quickly. It's important to know why you failed in terms of, was there anything that I could have, right? And was this my door? And it is, I suppose. It is, because sometimes you fail at a thing and your resistance in going back to it will show you that maybe this isn't it, you know. Because I think it's important to,
because there are times when you fail, you ticked all the boxes of that attempt, yet you still fail. So that's why I'm saying, okay, maybe looking at the why is, maybe it's not it for you. Maybe the why could possibly be that, but what does that do to my attempt on the next one?
But what does that do to my character though? Because that's why I'm saying it's not just the failure is not personal, but it can feel very personal sometimes. Like, you know, especially when you go for like an audition and they tell you you're not it, and it's like, but this is how I am though. So if you say I'm not it, it's the fact that you literally, and it's me you don't want, really. It's just to say, they should have said that. Say, girl, we're not looking for nobody with classes right now. Next round, please. But I think it's important to look at it from a perspective of, don't take it personal. Take it as, but look at how you, or why you failed. But I almost want to say, look at how you respond to it.
Okay.
Look at how you respond to it.
That says a lot about
that says character. A lot about your character, how you respond to it. Now, I'm not saying you're not allowed to cry, but don't let it now affect how you move. Now you...
I said to Darius, don't make permanent decision on temporarily. Don't.
Right. It's like, this is temporal. You failed here. You didn't fail, so mhlambe, don't let it now affect how you move and how you doing things.
Do you think, because now I believe we bear in us everything we need to succeed or to carry out our lives. In the us bearing whatever, do we get washed out or do we get cleaned up on as we fail? It's a confirmation of who we are and who we're not.
Absolutely. Remember, we just said failure stretches your capacity. Yes. As you fail, don't take on the failure as identity, but take on the lesson. There's a lesson here. Okay.
There's a correction here.
And I want to talk about Dear Black Parents and Reflections, my 2 books. When I wrote Reflections, I was sure. It's the fact that I was sure and I was ready and I was like, this is beautiful. And I couldn't even sell. And then when I wrote Dear Black Parents, and it sold out and stayed sold out. I cannot, it would be a sin for me to call Reflections a failure. It'd be a sin because without it, there's no Dear Black Parents. And without it, and I mean technical things in terms of style of writing, in terms of being comfortable, in terms of the discipline that is required to write a book. In the business behind writing a book, the relationship I have with my publisher.
I think perhaps we don't fail then, eh?
But hence I say it didn't go the way that you expected, but be humble enough to understand that it still served you. Be grateful enough to go, it didn't work out the way that I wanted, but
it served you.
Served
me. Who are you then to call it a failure? That's what I'm asking. If we look back and we reflect on something, it's like those things that even didn't work out for you still played that part.
And it reminds me of Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good.
For those who are children's God.
For those who are loved by the Lord. And for those who love the Lord and are called for his purposes.
Yo, that is